Hi, everyone. This is Michael Dobbs. I'm here today again with Paul Walsh. We are going to talk to you about how we can use external data, in this case, things like weather or people and where people are, in order to drive business for our retail colleagues. In talking to our retail partners, what we've been hearing is that circular distribution has become a little bit of a problem. And the reason for that is that retailers are seeing that newspapers have been declining in circulation. Some newspapers are altogether closing. And this is a problem, especially in areas that are rural where circulation's been going down. And so our retail partners are having a hard time getting circulars or flyers into the hands of consumers to drive those consumers into the store. And so they're looking for other ways of driving traffic. We've developed a great product that can do just that. This is the way to think about it. So we all have our lovely cell phones with us, and we use them every day, and they're in our pockets. And what they're doing is they're actually tracking our movement. What we've been able to do is we work with a third party that actually is able to harvest this information and understand where people are based on their cell phones. And so when a customer goes into one store, we can understand that they're in that store. And then a few days later, when they walk into a competitive store, we can understand that they're in a competitive store. And so what we've been able to do is create this opportunity for a retailer to say, look, if we have a very, very loyal customer, then we're going to try to send them a deal to try to get them to come into our store. So let's say if they shop in our store 50% of the time or more, maybe we send them a deal like $3 off 30 in order to get them to come into the store and make a purchase with us. If they shop, but they shop more often at our competitors, so maybe they shop less than 50% of the time in our stores, then maybe we send them a bigger deal, maybe $5 off 30. And so by doing this, we actually give the retailer the opportunity to understand who the customers are in an area and send out this messaging. And here's the important point. We're not just sending it to the consumers of a specific retailer, and we're not just sending it to the consumers who that retailer has their email addresses. We're actually able to send it to a very broad population of people who live in the market around that store and either shop at that store or at a competitor. So this really drives traffic into the stores and has really helped out our partners in this time that newspaper distribution is going down. So with that said, Paul, maybe you can give us some examples of where we've done things like this with other retailers.
Thanks, Michael. And one of the things that I think is important to mention is that the location data that we're using is GDPR compliant and has been thoroughly vetted in terms of privacy concerns that folks might have. To give you some examples of how this works in the real world, we actually did a campaign some years ago with Subway, where we used the same kind of techniques that Michael talked about in terms of identifying and creating an audience of people that had been in Subway and people had been in competitive outlets of Subway. We created an audience that we can then target using weather triggering, so that when Subway was putting an ad out within the local markets of each of the markets that we're targeting, they were targeting people that had a propensity to go to Subway, even if they hadn't been to a Subway. And we were sending them an ad message that was relevant to them at that exact time, with a message that was going to be relevant to one of the things that they might want to be eating. So it might be a cold drink, or it might be a Subway sandwich, and that's based on the analytics around the weather triggering piece to this. When you put those two together, it generates very, very significant increases in foot traffic. In fact, the Subway story is actually published in Mobile Marketer, and they reported a 31% increase in foot traffic, and they reduced their campaign waste by about 51% because they were only targeting the right people at the right time with the right message. So if you're interested in learning more about that, as always, give me or give Michael a call or drop us a note. We'd be happy to give you more detail on that. Thank you.